Good Tuesday afternoon, everyone. It's Adina. I'm sorry, y'all. My face is probably nice and oily. I just got in from the office. I have been a busy realtor today, and I have more stuff to do. So I'm just going to do a reading really quick. I want to make sure that I don't get too lost in any of my jobs because your girl has multiple endeavors going on. But Beyond the Veil here on YouTube is a priority. It's one of my most important because my spiritual service is not a job. It is a service. It is what I will be known for when I'm gone, amongst the living and amongst the spirits. So I will always stop and make sure that I am producing content for this channel because I asked for this. And not only that, but Spirit feels like this is more important than any other work that I do. Not just doing readings on YouTube, but the readings that I do, period. Spirits like talking to me. They like to tell me things. So with that being said, I have any special things to say to you guys? Besides, welcome. If this is your first time watching this video, welcome to Beyond the Veil, Adina. Beyond the Veil with Adina. Around here, I will say my friend says I have a 98% accuracy rate. To be humble, I'll say 95, because I can't read myself for shit. I mean, I can. I just don't always like what I see. So I tell myself I'm seeing something else. But please, if you are subscribing here because of this video or any recent videos, please go back, watch some of my previous videos. I also have a lot of readings on my community tab because at times when I didn't feel like recording videos, I would just type them out on my community tab. And those are the ones, that you don't have to watch to find out the tea and to see what I predicted. And every reading that I've done on this channel, whether on my community tab or video, there is an accurate prediction in all of them. And so please watch them, because for a lot of the questions that some of you may ask, like for the subscriber who asked about me doing a reading on Beyonce as it relates to Kathy White, I already did a reading on Beyonce and Kathy White in my Kathy White reading. So please, you guys, go catch up on my previous readings so that you'll know why you're here. It's not just because of the one video that you saw that brought you here. I'm actually legit. I'm good at what I do. And you'll get a lot more information from those videos. So binge watch me, please. Not just for me, but for you as well. And go ahead, if you are watching this, if you haven't subscribed, please do so now, because I would be happy to have you. And I would be happy to do personal readings for all of you. I do them. Many of my subscribers on this channel have had readings from me. They're my busted babies. I love them. I communicate with you guys often. Ask some of them, ask them what it's like. So with that being said, there is a documentary coming out on Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon. I have had Nickelodeon on my radar for over a decade based on some things that I saw a long time ago. I might have still been a teenager, or maybe in my early 20s, when I started getting into, at the time, they were rumors and conspiracies, but the more I dug around, I found them to be more truthful than not. So I have been waiting on Disney and Nickelodeon to be exposed, especially Disney. I'll probably do a reading on them because I'm in Florida, Disney is in Florida, and every other day there is a press conference with the OPD or Hillsborough County Police Department or one of the surrounding counties doing a press report or a press release about a pedophile or trafficking ring that they just busted. 95% of the time, there are Disney employees involved. And 95% of the time, there's Disney employees involved. And that just gives credence to a lot of things that I've already heard about Disney, especially Disney in Florida. Florida and California, actually, especially California. But anyways, this reading I'm going to do is going to be on Dan Schneider. So that being said, I'm going to Florida water my hands and get this thing cracking. I don't need an oracle card, so I'm going to put these back because I start with these when I don't know where I want to go with the reading. These are when I know what I want to read about. All right. Is Dan Schneider alive? First of all, let me ask that. I believe he's dead, but is he? Dan Schneider. Oh, him. He was on, what were those kids' movies he was in? Was that him? That was in some of those movies? What movies were they, though? Anyways, I can't remember. Anyways, all right. Is he alive? Dan Schneider is alive. I don't have a death date. He's alive. I think he's married. All right. All right. So Dan Schneider is alive. Let's read you, Dan. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. I feel like saying his voice in a man's voice. Dan Schneider, come here. Does he only acknowledge men? Power and authority only come from men, maybe? Maybe he doesn't acknowledge women as having any type of power or authority. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. I ain't speaking in no man voice. Dan Schneider. Come here. Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon. Come together. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider. Most High Mother and Father God, please bring to me the soul and the spirit of Dan Schneider from wherever he is, from whatever state he's in. Bring him to me and compel him to speak to me, keeping nothing hidden from me. Dan Schneider. I see the Nickelodeon logo, that orange splat of splat slime. Nickelodeon. Maybe their headquarters or something. I see a building, not a person. I see myself looking into the lobby of a building. I see the Nickelodeon splat slime logo on a wall behind a desk. There's no one at the desk. To my left, in like a sitting area, there's a big screen TV with Nickelodeon shows playing on them. It's like I'm in Nickelodeon headquarters. Dan Schneider, speak to me now. Speak to me about the allegations being made against you by former Nickelodeon employees and child actors. Dan Schneider, there have been many rumors about your sexual conduct or misconduct as it relates to children. Dan Schneider, is it true that you sexually abuse in any way children? Dan Schneider, is it true that Nickelodeon is involved in the sexual abuse of children and minors? Dan Schneider, talk to me about Nickelodeon and your involvement in alleged sexual abuse. Seven of Pentacles, currently, or present position, presently. This is like a anticipation. This is Nickelodeon and Dan. They do their scouting for children for these shows, okay? So they do scouting for shows. I don't know how they scout for new entertainment, new people for their shows. I don't know how they went about doing that, but I see scouting them in, and then going through their audition tapes, their headshots, and all whatever other information they gather on potential Disney employees, children, and they decide what they're going to do with them. So if I hire 20 new kids for a show that I'm filming at Disney, chances are that I am looking at these 20 kids also to see which ones I will be able to solicit in other ways. Some kids in Disney are hired to do the shows, to keep it legit. Some people at Disney serve other purposes than just the shows. The shows are taped, the auditions and pilots are taped, even before they come out. And then there's another audience that looks at these pilots and these audition tapes and headshots and decides which one of these children they want to work with, they want to offer big opportunities to. There's a vetting involved at Disney amongst those that are cast for shows. So there's a vetting to get you into the door at Disney, and then there's another vetting to see exactly how they're going to utilize you at Disney, to map out what your career is going to look like, the longevity of it. And that all depends, methinks, on exactly how you fit into whatever plans they may or may not have for you. Challenging them, though, is what they really have. This card helped me come to the conclusion of what this card meant. When I first pulled the Seven of Pentacles, I wasn't sure how it fit into the question I asked. So I had to think about the Seven of Pentacles in its context, in between the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. And that's how I came up with the scenario that I just described to you guys. And here is the Eight of Pentacles challenging them. So for me, the Six of Pentacles, in order to put how I got this explanation into context, and for any of you who ask me for mentoring, I always drop jewels and gems in my videos, in just the way that I do things. I teach by example. So the Six of Pentacles, that's a charitable card, and that would be Disney saying, okay, I'm looking to cast new people. Some of you will get more out of this opportunity than others, but for various reasons. That's the Six of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is, once all the kids are in there, now it's time to vet them. Okay, we've got these 20 kids. Some of them are going to be more useful than the others. Some of them we have more uses for than the others. Some of them we're going to hire them to do this show. That's all they're going to do is this show. Period. They're going to do this show. They're not going to have another acting opportunity in life. Some of them, though, they work with us, we'll work with them. Some of their parents, are they approachable? Which parents are we going to have to, use a certain kind of strategy with? There's a vetting. And the reason for the vetting is challenging the other side of the Seven of Pentacles, the Eight of Pentacles, the actual work that they do. This gives me all kinds of, because the work is in the challenging position, the work that these kids at Disney are doing is what's challenging Disney. Not only do I hear literal labor laws being broken, also, what do these kids do for money once they're hired and contracted to Disney? Some of them do other things, like the things that they are accusing Dan Schneider of. Some of them, they're casted for these shows knowing good and well their purpose, their real purpose, is going to be behind the scenes dirty deeds. And part of the vetting is knowing which parents are going to go along with the program and which ones aren't. So once they're casted onto the shows, even the parents go through different trials put out by the teams at the network to see which ones are going to let their kids pay for play, which ones are going to sell their kids out, which ones aren't going to allow this and are going to give the predators at the network a hard time. Those are the ones that you'll do this show and that's it. We'll get you out of here. Which ones can be, manipulated. And, the parents also go through a vetting because they need to know which ones are going to just sell their kids out, which ones they have to manipulate, which ones just aren't going to do it at all. In the past, I would like to say that the way Disney came into its fortune was not inherent. I'm sorry, Nickelodeon. The way Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider has come into their fortune and has created their name was not by the means that we think they are. Nickelodeon has been a staple in the childhoods of generations. My generation, children behind me, children before me, and the generation before that. However, that's from us, the consumers of this entertainment. We have also seen generations of Nickelodeon employees, kids who were brought up in Nickelodeon, constantly repeat the same stories, throughout the same accusations. So just for as long as Nickelodeon has been a staple in my childhood, your childhood, and a couple of generations before us, and maybe even a couple of generations behind us, we can also look on the other side of Nickelodeon into the people who gave us these memories. And their stories are completely different from ours. We have generations of people who call out Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider for abuse, just like we are the ones who can remember Rugrats and Hey Arnold and Doug and all these shows that Nickelodeon gave us that made us love Nickelodeon. They also gave the people that entertain us on Nickelodeon some trauma. So methinks that Nickelodeon didn't just come to what it is off the backs of our entertainment. It came off the backs of the secret deals that were done in order for Nickelodeon to get funding, Nickelodeon to get sponsors, Nickelodeon to get ads, Nickelodeon to get all types of things done behind the scene in order to bring us entertainment. That was done in another way. In the near future, there will be this is just going to get messy. For one, I don't know if Dan Schneider is going to speak out to defend himself in some way, shape, or form. He or his team may do so. However, this is going to trigger a lot of other conversations. Not all of it will be pro the victims, because the accused will defend themselves. Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon will defend themselves. They will push a lot of this back on those speaking out. There will be a lot of cleaners and fixers and people in comments on social media posts there on behalf of Nickelodeon and those accused, in order pretending like they're regular social media commenters in order to sway the conversation another way. There will be a lot of pushback from that documentary, but this gives me, it won't necessarily be so overt. It's not like Dan is going to say, how dare all of y'all come out and say this about me, although he just might. But this isn't how these high-powered, high-level people respond. They respond via their teams. They respond via statements put out by their PR. I deeply apologize for, any of the sad situations that happen to past Disney stars. However, Disney has put out Nickelodeon has put out means of support, therapy, rehab, benefits for its members, and we are not to be held responsible for, the choices of, things like that. And then those accusers will come out with more of their stories, and more people will come out sharing their stories. And then those accused and their teams will come out. And this is what it's going to be. I also see a lot of things that were unspoken coming out as a result. We are going to hear a lot about nasty, nasty things that's going to taint our memories of these networks, because we see them one day based on the entertainment that they provided our children. Well, we're about to see them in another light, and it won't be pretty. And it will really trigger a lot of us adults because of everything that it meant to our childhood. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not one of those people, because in my line of work, in psychic work, and mediumship work, being able to commune and participate with spirits and beings on the other side, part of the burden of that gift is an inherent cynicism that comes. I am inherently cynical. I am inherently distrustful because of the things that I can see. It's almost like, is anything good in this world besides the few people that still exude good in this world? Crowning Dan Schneider, because that's who I'm speaking about. Dan Schneider, I don't see that he is divorced currently. I would like to say that Dan Schneider enjoys romantic relationships with minors, boys and girls. He likes relationships with children. In his mind, allegedly, he sees them as being in relationships, not as him doing anything appropriate. This gives me the mind frame of like pedophiles, open pedophiles who like try to champion for pedophile and change the stigmatism around it. Like they think we're not pedophiles. We believe that, there's nothing wrong with. It gives me black market, sex ring, snuff film watchers, people who believe in their mind that what they're doing is not wrong, that they are having relationships with these children. These children maybe don't see it that way. They do, though. The perpetrators, allegedly. Queen of Wands. This is a woman. I don't know if I'm going to come back to this. Currently, Dan Schneider, I would have to say that this is you. Because this is in your current actions or advice position, I would like to say that the things that they accuse Dan of are true. And currently, he's having to deal with his lifestyle coming back to bite him in the rear end. External energy, these are children that were not willing participants in the shenanigans. Also, whose lives were ruined. Hopes and fears. Dan and Nickelodeon actually hope that more of their secret indulgences don't get spilled. Outcome, somebody is going to jail. Somebody may face charges, kind of like the Harvey Weinstein situation. Or Dan, if you don't get legally charged, this is a situation that you won't recover from, because there are going to be too many stories coming out. Too many. There is no way that Nickelodeon or Dan is going to be able to pussy pop their way out of this. The accusations that are coming, because they're so publicized, and because they will continue to come. They will be relentless. Let me look into this 8 of Swords outcome card. I see settlements. I see having to pay in order to keep one out of jail. I also see Dan Schneider falling off. This will be the end of Dan Schneider as a power player in Hollywood. He will not be able to maintain his position in Hollywood due to this documentary and the stories that are coming subsequently. And whatever him and his team do to dispel those conversations is going to just make it worse. Hopes and fears. 9 of Cups reverse. There's a lot could be said about the Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider, that they're afraid it's going to come out. Their hopes and fears. And that it is going to completely tank the network. Their fears is that all of their nasty, nasty deeds will tank Nickelodeon completely. And it will do damage, significant damage. External energy with this Fool in reverse. Those are all of our child stars that we love dearly, who were effed up due to Dan and Nickelodeon, allegedly. I don't know if I don't know which of these child stars started coming together for this documentary to be filmed at Nickelodeon. However, I see that it wouldn't be possible if it weren't for their mothers. Ironically, I don't see parents here. Now, if I pull another card behind this Empress and the Emperor comes out, no. Their mothers are the ones that are producing child stars in Hollywood. For some reason, the majority of these child actors are entered into Hollywood vis-a-vis their mothers. We all know the term stage moms. The ones that are speaking out were the ones whose mothers sold them out. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to do these things to their children. Tracy Brown, the psychic on here, her son was a part of Nickelodeon. Tracy has a lot that she could speak about in regards to this, and she has spoken about it. She spoke about how they usually manipulated the parents, the mothers, to separate them from the children, and how she was on top of things so they couldn't do that to her child. And because of that, her child, I guess, wasn't one of the ones chosen to do more things with Nickelodeon. Opportunities will be presented, and I'm looking into the mothers. To the mothers. So what I'm seeing here is the children specifically that are speaking out. Their mothers sold them out. We should also look into the mothers of every child actor that's on this Nickelodeon movie. Let's question their mothers and their parents. Mothers specifically, because they're here in the reading. Mothers. We always like to talk about deadbeat dads and how men ain't but for all the deadbeat dads in the world, then that means that these children are being raised by mothers. So yes, half of the childhood trauma comes from a lack of a father in the home. But that just means that we need the father to be there to set boundaries, even with the mother, to put her in her place. All right, Dan Schneider, King of Cups reverse. Let's look into you. This is the you did it, you are it. Five of Cups in reverse. This is very sick, very saddening. Very sick and very saddening, because this is something I would say that's wrong with him. This is a man that is not normal in the sense that he thinks normally like a normal adult. This is emotional imbalance. This is sick and perverted when it comes to children. The younger, the better. The younger, the better. He isn't wired the way most people are. He's not even really attracted to grown-ups at all. At all. He's attracted to children. Let me look into this Temperance in reverse, because that lets me know that he's like one of those pedophiles that we see on movies, where it's like a ring and they're into just nasty. I see that he is a producer of snuff films. Disney and Nickelodeon allegedly are purveyors of snuff film. Biggest on the market. Just like As Above, So Below. As Above, Nickelodeon is a kids network and they're here for kid entertainment. So Below, they're here for something else. They market for something else. They produce entertainment for another crowd. In the daytime, they make shows for us. And behind the scenes, after hours, they're making different type of shows, allegedly. This is snuff films, black market films. Dan Schneider is a black market maverick. Like allegedly most Hollywood producers. This is disgusting. We make you a star without their choice. Once they're children and they're sold to Dan and these people, as a child, they don't have any choice anymore. Once they're once they're parents and the powers that be at the network arrange for these children to be used in this way, they don't have a choice anymore. The only choice that they have is to cope, either by suicide, unalivement of themselves, drugs, and other means of coping mechanisms that aren't healthy. Because when they were children, there was no mercy, no compassion given to them. No thought about their youth at all. It wasn't considered at all. It was preyed on. Disgusting. I don't want to do this reading anymore because for those who know me know I can't stomach sexual abuse, rape, murder. I can do that. Not saying I approve of it, but you know, I can stomach that for some reason. This though, I cannot. There is something worse than death to me, and that's rape and sexual abuse. Because of what it does spiritually to the sacral chakra, it kills you but forces you to live. It's like being a zombie. Horrible. Spiritually and energetically, it's horrible. Challenging position, the Eight of Pentacles. I'm curious. Some of these children, child stars, the only way they could get out was the long way because they were sacrificed to the industry, given away by their parents, used and abused. No one was there to protect them. No one was there to help them. Very few of us is there to pay attention to them when they speak out. So they see no other way. These are opportunities given for two different things. One purpose by day, one purpose by night. Some of them never recover. And like I said, need drugs or other means to cope with what happened to them. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up because what else do I need to say? Crowning. What is this Two of Cups, though? Dan's relationship with his wife, I believe, is for images and PR purposes. To appear in a loving marriage as a cover. I don't know if his defense would be like, what would I do with kids? I have a wife, da-da-da-da-da. I see a woman that was approached and paid to probably be in a relationship. I don't know if this is with Dan, but I see that he was married recently, not that long ago, like in the 2000s. I see someone that was approached and paid to be a beard, a cover for what this man really does with children. This is a disgusting, disgusting man, allegedly. Me thinks this is the end of Dan. And I would like to see so. I would like to see this being the end of Nickelodeon. And Nickelodeon is definitely afraid. Nickelodeon is shook about their tea being spilled because a lot of it can be corroborated by things. Nickelodeon is shook. They fear. Dan, however, I'm not sure if this is jail because that would have been justice for me. He could be prosecuted some way in court. However, Dan Schneider, he will not recover from this. Socially, reputation-wise, career-wise, he'll be like a Weinstein. Just like Weinstein's reputation wasn't able to recover from all of those Me Too allegations, Dan will also face the same fate. Please, please, please believe these victims because based on what I've seen, allegedly, they are telling the absolute truth and not even the whole truth. There are things that we'll never hear about. I'm talking black market. I'm talking snuff films. I'm talking about secret setups in studios. I'm talking about parties, elite parties in the hills in California, at mansions that have rooms set up to record certain things for the black market consumptions, allegedly. So I've got to go. This is disgusting. I hope that something comes of this. Something consciously is awakened in the minds of the general public, and that we don't go on about our day-to-day lives after this. Like, oh my God, it's shocking for 2 weeks worth of social media fodder. However, my kids are going to Disney on their first birthday because that's a tradition. You take the kids to Disney. I hope that for the sake of saying that we support these victims, that we actually support them by not continuing to financially empower and energetically empower these entities that I'm telling you, the entertainment they provide us is the front. The real business is done behind the scenes. We get the front. Know this. All right, you guys, I love you. I would be praying for, all the victims, because somebody has to care outside of just social media activism. So my prayers, and I will, on the day that this film comes out, I will light a healing candle for all of the victims, named, unnamed, known and unknown, alive or unalived, past, present, future. That being said, love you all. Bye. And if anyone is watching this that participated in Nickelodeon or Disney, or was taken advantage of by anyone in Hollywood, please know that this is a safe place. I am a safe place. And call me, because I like to fight. And if you need somebody on your side, I'll do a consultation. I'll read the situation just to make sure that it checks out spiritually before I get involved, and I will stand with you. All right. Love you guys. Bye.